Hello and welcome to the Monday, January 7th edition of the Gold, Goats, and Guns Short News. My name is Tom Luongo. We've got a lot to talk about. Today, I want to talk about Matteo Salvini versus Emmanuel Macron. So I just saw, literally like 20 minutes ago, a report from RT that Salvini, the leader of the interior minister of Italy, and really the de facto leader of Italy, because he's the leader of Italy's League party, which is dominating now the polls in Italian amongst the Italian electorate. So Matteo Salvini, effectively the leader of Italy, came out in support of the yellow vests in France, saying, "quote," I gotta read this one to you. This is just brilliant. It says, "I support honest citizens who protest against a governing president against his people." It's on, baby. This is great. Now, Salvini's been on the warpath against the EU for months, and he's been attacking them from a variety of perspectives. First, that budget proposal that was intended to provoke an outsized response from the EU Finance Committee, who then turned around and threatened fines and sanctions and everything else against Italy for violating budget rules. Meanwhile, France, of course, violates them all the time, and in order for Emmanuel Macron to kind of try and dampen down the yellow vest protests against his government, he's proposed, and they've even passed, and removing the tax on diesel fuel that they originally proposed, which started the whole thing in the first place, and raising minimum wage and some other tax cuts in order to try and pacify the quickly vanishing French middle class, who were the ones driving this movement in France. And so there was a dichotomy there in the first place. There was that rank hypocrisy, which Salvini called out immediately. And yes, since then the Italians have settled a little bit on a budget that just barely squeaks under the wire of European rules. That's not a concession. That was done on purpose. It was the original budget was meant to evoke the response that it did, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was put the EU in the position of being the bad guys in the minds of Italian people, so that they could move forward with their agenda to try and either get out of the euro or get sincere debt restructuring, consolidation, jubilee, whatever it needs to be done, and reform of the European Union's Finance Committee, which is ultimately, at the end of the day, I think what Salvini wants. So he's attacking them on all fronts, and this attack on Macron via the yellow vest by saying they have every right to be angry with you, you feckless piece of garbage. Trying to keep it clean this morning. This is great. This is exactly right, because you have to understand that as these things have gone on, right? This started with a peaceful protest against diesel fuel, and is now morphed into something far, far bigger than that. It's all over the world now, and it's in France. They're going after, every week they're like targeting a different important institution, be it the National Assembly one week, the regional central bank and a regional affiliate of the Bank of France in another week, or something along those lines. This is real. Okay, the people who are coordinating this and who are leading this know exactly what they're attempting to do here. They understand the power that they have now, and they're now utilizing it in a way that is very, very interesting. And Macron's response to this has been tone deaf the entire time. First, he vilified them and called them thugs. After some planted violence, they tried to spin in the media that was all about that this group was just a bunch of violent thugs, when they weren't. The same thing they tried to do with the riots against immigration in Chemnitz, by the way, in Germany. It's the same thing they do here in the United States whenever they want to delegitimize protesters. They always just throw some agitators in there to throw cocktails and Molotov cocktails and set stuff on fire and break windows and whatever, and then make sure that the media is there to film it, see it, and then post it for all of us to digest, and to delegitimize the protesters in the minds of the center of the electorate. It hasn't happened. The more that this has gone on, the more support the yellow vests get. So vilification didn't work. It's not working here in the United States. I did an article that I posted the other day talking about Tucker Carlson showing how the DNC talking points now are to really go after the in this country, the rural, the proto yellow vests in this country, the people who are about to become yellow vests in the United States, who are effectively the deplorables. What Rick Wilson called on MSNBC the other night, or CNN, 10-tooth, morons, effectively. And so the point now is to dehumanize and vilify them. That's not working either. But you know that the vilification process is always the first step before they go to war against the people. And that's where we are now. They're going to go to war against us. They're already going to war against people like myself, Sargon of Akkad, and others who are trying to, they want to shut down the debate. They want to shut down the criticism. They want to shut down all of it. It's what Article 13 in the EU is about. It's what Article 11 is all about. To criminalize normal, everyday criticism of the sitting government. When the governments get to that point, it's very close to the end for them. So first, vilification didn't work for Macron. Tried vilifying him, didn't work. That only made them angrier. And then pacification didn't work. The aforementioned tax breaks and whatnot, that didn't work either, because no one believes that he's on the up and up. Because not a week later, then the fire and the police started all donned yellow vests saying, look, we want our overtime pay. This is stretching us to the gills and you're not paying us. And now they're all walking hand in hand with the yellow vest protesters. So this is all just continuing to go to accelerate. And the last weekend, or before last weekend's protest, the French government arrested one of the leaders of the yellow vest movement, and all that did was make things worse. They were dying. The things were dying down, and they made it worse. So you have to ask yourself then, did they do it on purpose? I don't know. I think Macron is a pretty. He's not all that bright. He's not all that deviant. I see him much more as a figurehead. So it's very interesting what's happening in Europe. This is all part of the political disintegration that's occurring all across Europe as a consequence of ruinous economic policy, ruinous immigration policy, ruinous political integration policy. All of these things, and the creeping, and not just creeping, now it's like outright tyrannical rule of the unelected oligarchy that makes up the European Parliament and the European Commission. And all of that needs to go. And that's what Matteo Salvini truly has his sights set on. Right? At the same time that he's trying to reform Italy and get Italy into a position where it can, or it wants to, truly stand up to, at the popular level, stand up to the EU and understand that now you have a majority of Italians who think that the EU is a bad deal for Italy. That sets the stage for Salvini, if he needs to in the future, say, look, we need to pull out of the euro, or we need to do these things. But he's going to soft pedal that for as long as possible. And the first target on this path is the European Parliamentary Elections in May. He and Viktor Orban and others have already said they're going to target the European Parliamentary Elections in order to take it over, in order to get control of the EU presidency, which is currently held by the incredibly odious and childless Jean-Claude Juncker. And it's a very important thing. And so at the same time as that's going on, it makes perfect sense for him to go out after Macron and how Macron has handled the situation, so as to give support to Macron's opposition, Marine Le Pen, of the not National Front, new name, the new name, this, which has been renamed, and I'm sorry, but the name escapes me at this point. But Marine Le Pen is now outpolling Macron easily. Macron's approval rating is down below 20%, if not just about around 20%, which is terrible. It's even worse than Francois Hollande's approval rating was at his stage of his presidency, same stage of his presidency. And he left office the most hated man in French political history. So good on Salvini. Makes an Italian like me proud. Makes an Italian immigrant like me proud. This is great stuff. Okay? Absolutely great stuff. This is exactly what Salvini needs to do. He needs to twist the knife every opportunity he gets against his opposition in Europe. These people are the antithesis of a free and open society. They are antithesis of what is good for humanity. And their drive to a federalized Europe under oligarchic, technocratic, unelected control is the model, and it needs to be fought with every fiber of our being for as long as possible, because the consequences on the other side of it are too horrific to contemplate. For a reminder, I will be doing a live stream tonight at 8:30 here on YouTube and Periscope at the same time, a simulcast. You can follow my work over at goldgoatsandguns.com. If you like what you heard today, please give a like and subscribe down below. We're up to almost 1,350 people. It would be great to push that number to 2,000. So you guys have a great afternoon. We'll talk soon. 8:30, as a matter of fact. Keep your stick on the ice.